All right, we are ready for another episode, Adversity Podcast, Real People, Real Stories. And Josh is back in the studio with me. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Oh, man, at it again. Took a couple weeks off from it, but I'm excited to be back in the studio.
Yeah, it's been a long couple weeks. I hadn't seen you, man. I felt like I was missing my buddy.
Yeah, man, we've seen a lot of rain though, which is good.
that is actually
tornado warnings in Southern California. Who would have thought?
Yeah, there's a golf course in Ventura that's still completely flooded. What's the name of that course? Buena, completely flooded.
Wow.
Still underwater.
Yeah, man. But you know what? We're back at it. And, of course, we continue to bring you the great guests. And who do we have today?
We have the one and only Bashar. He is a friend of mine. He is one of my dear golfing buddies, as well as one of my dearest friends that I've had the fortune of becoming friends with since we moved out here to California. And he's just a gem of a human being. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man.
You too.
Yeah, man. Really. I could tell you're a jokester.
I mean, you got to throw some jokes in there with life, otherwise it's stressful and extremely exhausting.
Yeah. So how did you guys meet?
The golf course.
Yeah.
He played all the time. I played all the time, and we just connected. And I know the personalities mesh sometimes right away.
Right. And where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Jordan since I was until I was 17, and then I moved here straight to San Pedro.
And how did you end up? Are you in Ventura County now?
Yeah, and I only spent 2 years in LA, and then I moved here because the family. Long story short, my sister was married to this gentleman that started a business here, and then my family kind of got involved in it. So I just moved here, and I haven't looked back. It's been almost 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you guys have known each other for a couple years?
Yeah,
a couple years now.
Yeah.
And how's Josh on the golf course?
He hits it far. Let's just say that.
That's about all I got.
I like that answer right there. So do you hit it far, Josh?
Very far.
Yeah, I can hit it pretty good off the tee. It's that second shot that I start having issues with.
All right, man. So you growing up, you said Jordan.
Jordan, yes.
So tell us some struggles that you went through in Jordan.
Oof. This took a dark turn real quick.
Well, we want to know how
Jordan,
you overcame a lot of stuff. You know,
Jordan is beautiful. There's a huge misconception about Jordan being in the Middle East, that it's unstable or there's issues or bombings, or it's actually the opposite. It's like an economical hub for the whole region, and so a lot of money flows through it. And because of that, the infrastructure it grows at a much faster pace than anywhere else. There isn't a place to put a house. It's packed. The population when I left was 6 million. Now it's probably topping 10.
Wow.
And so, but there's a lot of tourism from Saudi Arabia and the Gulf that come up during the hot months down there, and that gave it another economic boom. There's a lot of parties and a lot of clubs and a lot of hotels, and you can wear whatever you want pretty much. It's very different. But there's a subculture there when you get out of the capital, where I grew up Catholic in my house. So my family was the other extreme, actually, where, there's Mother Mary and candles burning all day, and you have to pray every day and all that good stuff. So that was something that I had to hide in the public.
Right.
So I kind of left there, and I got more comfortable here because of that. I could not have an identity down there.
Right.
Because 4% of Jordanians are non-Muslim. And then out of that, probably there's a small percentage that is, Catholic Christians. Because you got the Orthodox and the Baptists and all that.
So your family being religious, did you come from a very strict household, or?
Yeah, very strict. Extremely, extremely strict household. But I was the black sheep of the family, too, and I got in a lot of trouble. My brother is a doctor. My sister is a pharmacist. The other one is an optometrist. And then I showed up.
What made you the black sheep of the family?
I don't know. I was a nerd, 300-pound, 12-year-old that did not very introvert in my own hole. And then something happened the first year of high school where I don't know how to explain it. Just went the extreme opposite side, and I became a rebel, and I got in fights, and I started drinking and smoking cigarettes, and it took a whole wrong turn. I hung out with the wrong guys for a while.
And this is when you started high school.
This is the first year of high school.
And you know what? I think, you know, it don't matter where you are or grew up, but I think high school is a changer, life changer for a lot of people.
Yeah, for a
it
lot of
is.
people. My daughter is in her first year, and I'm seeing that same exact struggle where friends change, personalities change, and your dynamic changes. It's a whole different world.
And you were in Jordan still.
All
When
boys
you
school.
when you're a freshman,
Yep, all boys school, Latin priests with robes and
the whole nine.
the whole nine.
So you were a junior when you moved to the States?
I was, yes, I didn't go to the last year of high school.
Really?
Yeah, they had to get me out of the country.
Now you went to UC Santa Barbara, right?
I went to Marymount College for a couple of years, and then I transferred here because of the business thing, and then I just finished at UCSB. Went to a year to City College.
Did you?
Yeah, I had to. A lot of classes that you take there do not transfer, so there was a gap for a year.
Yeah, that was what I was curious about, is like the kind of that challenge of transitioning from a Jordan high school, right, to an American.
No, there wasn't.
College.
Jordan's system is English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so England never left in the 1950s after they took the country. The whole region used to be the land of Damascus.
Okay.
Until 1948, I want to say.
Mm.
And then,
Like Damascus in
Like
the Bible,
Damascus
in
and-
Damascus, like
Yeah,
where
yeah,
Paul
like
got
Syria.
blinded.
yeah, like Syria there was no Syria. So Damascus was like the capital of the Middle East, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then they came in and they redraw the maps. And then Israel became one section, and Lebanon and Syria and Jordan and Iraq. And then Saudi Arabia became Saudi Arabia. But back then, Jordan and Iraq and Saudi Arabia are all tribal. So they had to literally go in the 1950s and pick a tribe to become the leader. And that's how the Hashemite family became the leaders of that. And Saudi Arabia's family became the leaders of Saudi Arabia. And then they renamed the countries.
I think an interesting fact that I didn't know was the size of those countries. Like, how big is Jordan? You said all of Ventura County can fit in Jordan.
LA County.
LA County, like
LA County we can take
in a
Jordan,
whole country,
the whole country. We can take it and bring it to Los Angeles.
the
As
entire
far as-
country.
That's crazy.
Yeah, as far as citizens. Yeah.
That blew my mind. Just putting that in perspective, like, and Kuwait and all those are the same way.
Kuwait is a lot smaller. Kuwait is probably the size of
That's the one that's the size of Ventura County.
probably.
Yeah.
No joke. Yeah, probably. County, we probably have 1 million people in Ventura County. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because there's 9 in LA County, isn't there? Like something.
Like, I know the demographics very well because of the business, but I would say because Oxnard has 250 and then Ventura has 170 in Camarillo. So, between Westlake and we're probably at that
A mil,
number.
yeah.
Yeah, as big as Kuwait.
So what was it that you think kind of helped you get it all put together to where you went from kind of being the nerd to the black sheep to a completely different country, and now here you are in this phase in your life, right, where you have the ability to golf every day, and you kind of have this really nice lifestyle that you've created? Because a lot of people don't realize, they see people in these positions. It's kind of why we started this podcast. They don't realize what you had to go through to get here. We hadn't even gotten into his house burning down yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was
There's all kinds of stuff this guy's
there
come
is,
through.
but,
And
I would say I've always believed that things happen for a reason, and there's a lot of times where it's like a blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And I might not seem like it, and I don't like speak it out loud, but I am like religious at heart, and I believe in good brings good, and God and Jesus and a lot of other prophets even and their teachings. And if you just keep bringing positive into your life, positive comes. And, you know, be a jokester sometimes.
Yeah.
And like in your hardest moment, crack a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't take it into deeper and deeper.
Was it hard for you to get to that point?
It was. There was a lot of struggles. But see, I right after college, I got married immediately, and I went to the family business. I did not blink for a day.
Right.
So from there, my wife got pregnant, and then she was in her last year in college going to Northridge. And so she would go to school and finish her last year, where she was almost 9 months at that point.
Wow.
And then from there, we had our first child. And then the company was very small, and we all had to go to work 12, 16-hour days. So you get buried under a rock pretty much. And the next time you open your eyes is 20 years later, you're going through a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like you're talking about me right now.
Like, what happened?
That's why I retired.
Yeah, the reason I ask that is because a lot of times when bad things happen, you know, when we're young, we don't look at, like, you know, this is happening for a reason, and you feel a lot of people build that victim mentality from that.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know why I'm not that guy. Again, I think I contributed to the first year of high school, where I went from the guy that's hiding in the corner to the guy that's leading the fight in school between groups, and going out of school to other schools and beating people up and getting booked and coming home with my shirt tore up. And I went from a scared to this face it in the eyes till you die kind of attitude. And I think that's what helped me kind of succeed in life, is no matter how many times I got beaten in high school and broke a nose or tore a shoulder, I would go back in that fight and not go home until I'm in like pieces, regardless winning or losing.
Right.
And that's the attitude the guys I was hanging out with, you know, had, and they kind of instilled that in me. And then I came here, and it was a whole different world. I mean, I am by the beach in Palos Verdes, and there's this peace and tranquility and beauty, and, you know, girls from all over the world attending school.
Right.
And it's like, what a life changer. It's like, why would you live that kind of life when you can live here? And then if you live here but have that mentality of back home of head on, I'm going to eat it alive.
So that change, that you moving changed you.
Yeah, but it kind of gives you the alternative that, you know, I can eat everybody alive on my way too, because I came from an environment where it was like a dog eat dog kind of.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we're in this environment where everything is just so easy. Just go to work, sweat a little bit, and you're going to come out ahead.
Yeah.
There's no fight like over there. There's a whole different world over there, where if you don't know somebody that knows somebody, it's not going to be easy for you to go open a business and just succeed. Working hard does not equal to success.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases.
That's pretty wild.
So it made it, I guess, easier.
Yeah.
To kind of achieve it with that mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's what's beautiful too about this, you know, and I'm not one of those big patriarch guys. I do love our country, and I come from a family of soldiers that have died for it, literally, you know, and you ask anybody that has lived in, whether it be in the United States or another country, 98% of them are going to say the States are the best place in the world to live.
Absolutely.
98%.
Absolutely.
And
I don't think people understand what they got and how they have it.
It's unreal, like how for granted we take this country.
It is
you
lovely.
know?
I think
it's not just this country, Southern California. But
Oh yeah,
I mean, for God's sake,
that's
take
people,
a drive up to Carmel, up the one, and
when we sold the store,
Switzerland.
people were like, "Are you going to go back home? You know, you're going to go back to Texas?" I'm like, "No." Have you been out here and visited? I mean, this place is it's I love it out here.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
amazing.
It's just, even with the bad weather we've had for like the last month, it feels like.
I mean, the views alone after the weather was
I know how
amazing.
green everything is.
It is.
I mean, it's just, that's a good adversity. Sometimes you got to go through the weather, through the storm,
Yeah.
to get your grass to grow the right color.
Right on. Right on with the subject.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was right on the subject.
Smooth transition right there.
So I'll give you on that note, there's a little piece that I did not cover the reason I came to this country is because I got so bad in Jordan that my dad had to do something. So instead of sending me to the last year of high school there, we got a letter from my school saying that I'm an A student and I'm a really good student pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And the Citadel, which is a military school in Carolina, South Carolina, I believe. And they recruited me to go there and become part of it. So I was forced to come over here. And then I landed in South Carolina, and I'm like, beautiful, but I don't want to be here. And then I went to school for 2 weeks there, and I realized I did not come from a war scare to become part of the war.
Right.
And they did not appreciate the fact that I was an Arab. But I was recruited because I'm Christian, Arab, and I speak really good English already. So about 2 weeks into it, I'm like, I'm leaving. I get out of there. I go to Michigan, where my brother lives, Dearborn. I'm like, no. I'm packing the fuck up. I don't care what's going on down there, bro. Let's roll back home. By chance, my dad was visiting my in-laws in Ventura, and he goes, just get your ass over here, and we'll go home together from here. So I fly to California on a Wednesday night, let's say, shaven, of course, because I had to go through the 2 weeks over there.
At the Citadel.
At the Citadel. From there, Dearborn, boom, I'm in Ventura, looking at what's around me. The next morning, we get in a car, we go to Vegas. I'm like, hold on a minute.
Hold on, tap the brakes on this flying out
I think I'm
here
going to kick it over here.
You found home.
I think I've arrived. We're good. Y'all can go home. I think I like it here.
I think I'm going to stick around.
So you've been here since that moment?
Since that moment, Ventura, yeah. Since
Wow.
that moment, yeah.
And what was your you said you joined the family business right away?
Yes. Yeah. That was like immediate. And I quit school a couple of times to make money because I felt the cash in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad made a deal with my in-laws that I'm not allowed to work until I graduate because I just don't want to go to school anymore. I'm
Right.
going to school for a business, spending all this money. It's freaking outrageous, man. I was so pissed. This company that is like needs money, and there are stores out there that we can buy. Yet I'm spending $50,000 a semester because I'm an international student. I don't pay California fees.
Yeah.
And our tier is even higher than out of state. So it just made no sense. Why aren't we taking this money and let's go buy 2 more stores,
Yeah.
that are struggling and fix them up? Instead, no, I had to go finish school and leave with this piece of paper that I, honest to God, don't know where it is. I think my wife has it in some shitty frame in some closet on the left side.
On the left side.
It'll be on the right side next year, right?
It'll be on the right side next year.
Little inside joke. We were talking about spring cleaning, how we move things from one end of the garage to the next. But what type of business was it?
Domino's Pizza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It started in Santa Paula with my brother-in-law. We used to work in the Valley, and then that store was really struggling, and he took it over with 2 of his brothers. And then they got one in Ojai, and then my family kind of jumped in a little bit, and then I jumped in all the way, sort of, and the company kept growing, and now we are at about 100 stores. We just broke 100, actually.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, it was a miserable 20 years before the growth spurted. Like a lot of hard work, a lot of times when we thought we lost it all. My mother-in-law had to mortgage her house a couple of times to make payroll. So, but we had a great time. I look back and we were having a good time regardless. Yeah, because my partners are also like at the shittiest, worst time you're in, crack a joke.
Yeah.
Just crack a joke. Loosen up a little bit. Get your mentality back in positive and just move forward regardless.
Yeah. Now going through those moments, were those all, I mean, you said earlier you always look at the bright side of things.
I try to, yeah.
And looking back now, were those all learning moments for you?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, we all go in our holes too. Sometimes, you know, you go through multiple traumas where it's not like one and you deal with it. 2018 was one of my worst years ever, actually. And that was after achieving success in the company and the money and everything and the family and the kids are grown. And I thought I'm done. And literally, I bought a house on the hill, remodeled it from the ground up, took a year off to rebuild the whole house from the ground up. And then December 4th, 2017, it just burns to the ground while I was at work up north, trying to grow more and grow more.
Right.
My kids and wife were alone in the windstorm, and I left anyways, knowing that it's going to be a very windy night, but it's always windy on the hills. You know, you don't think something like that is going to happen. And then that night, I got a phone call from a friend of mine whose like best friend works in the Santa Paula Fire Department, and he lives down the street from me in Ondolando in Ventura at Foothill. And he told him he has an hour to evacuate. Called me, I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. Made my wife leave. She's like, you're crazy. There's a little fire in Santa Paula. Why would I evacuate the whole house? I'm like, just do me a favor, just for my sake, because I'm not there. Just grab our passports and the kids with PJs and just go to your brother's house in Santa Barbara. And she ended up like, okay, fine. She grabbed them after a big fight. I went to Camarillo to her other brother's house. Sure enough, we woke up in the morning and the house was gone. And then from there, I went through this like moment of, you know, I always swore I'll never put money and success ahead of my family. And here I was in that moment. I totally did exactly the opposite of what I thought I was going to do. And that was the kind of the aha moment. And from there, I went to quit my job.
Wow.
I threw the keys out. I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to work anymore. I've done my part.
At that very moment?
Pretty much like 3 weeks later, I called my partners and I told them I quit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then me and my wife took a year apart, a year and a half actually. We both went to work on ourselves pretty much. Opened a bar in the meanwhile.
How hard was that? The not the bar part, but
Me and my wife?
Yeah.
It was needed. It was needed for both of us. There was a lot going on. She was also going through her, you know, midlife crisis, sort of. I was going through my midlife crisis. Then the house burns and I quit my job and I want to open a bar and I lost my shit pretty much. You know, I haven't lived kind of thing. And I...
Yo, thanks for sharing that, because a lot of grown men never admit to going through a midlife crisis.
No, it's actually the worst. You have to like face it head on, and then
like most outsiders point it out by the type of car that one is driving.
Sure, and I did drive a Mercedes convertible. Yes, I did. And I got rid of it the moment me and my wife got back together. I was like, this is stupid. Now I drive a sedan, and that's it. And it's nothing else. And that's all I'm gonna drive. I don't go that way anymore.
And do you when you lost the home, did you know this big change was coming? Was there?
No. I went to a dark place for a couple of years. And then when I opened the bar, I became a partier. I never ran the bar. I'm just pretty much down Main Street in Ventura partying my ass off from bar to bar while I have a bar to run.
Wow.
And never did inventory for like 9-10 months. I just partied. And then one day I bring a management company in to help me out, and I'm at home and the doorbell rings and it's Gara. Yeah, my wife, who at the time we were not together. And she comes upstairs. I was sleeping and she sits next to me at the bed and she goes, are we done? Can we go home now pretty much? Like, are you done with this bullshit tornado you're living? And that's all it took. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm done.
How long had you been in your relationship when you guys?
I've known her since 11 years old, because the thing happened is that my sister married Nick, and then she's Nick's sister. And 10 years later, after college, she went through some stuff. I went through some stuff. We ended up having coffee and talking and connecting, and next thing you know, we're dating and we want to get married, and which makes it more complicated, business and family and all that stuff. Yeah. So since 11, we got married at 22,
So that was you guys were already.
I've known her for 30 years, married for 20 something. Yeah.
Was it hard to work on the relationship once you guys decided to?
No. We've known each other for so long. She was extremely supportive, and she understood, the phase I've been through. She has her mom and dad and brothers over here. I have a sister that had looked out for me, and a lot of my family support is not here. So she was fine. The kids were fine. And she just realized at some point that, she worked on herself. She was sick and tired of me doing what I was doing.
Right.
We have kids at home kind of thing. So it wasn't more for me and her working on the relationship. It was more like she came into my place and she's like, I don't know, in a nice way, she's like, just get your fucking ass back home, dude. We got kids to run. We got shit to do. Like, you can't be doing this. Instead of you suck and you're an idiot and I can't believe you're out there partying, opening bars.
Were those thoughts there for you, though, when you were doing all that? Or did it take her to come?
No, it take her to come in there. That moment right there was like, yeah, I think I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Like,
it's great, ain't it?
See it sometimes when you're, and I've had friends who were in similar situations and they think they know what they want, and like you said, you said it was a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And they do what they got to do, and they say it's not what you think it is on this side.
Yeah, no.
And they want their family back, but by then it's always too late. Yeah.
I think I got lucky with my wife is like a home builder. Like she was raised by her mom. That number one, you never say I'm tired. Mm-hmm. This word doesn't exist in our vocabulary. I mean, we built the whole business on the fact that her mom was there all the time. Mm-hmm. She's one that held everybody together and the kids together. I mean, she'll go to her and tell her, "You're the best kid ever. Your brother is an idiot." And then she'll go to the brother and go, "You're the best brother ever. Your sister is an idiot." like
she would have been a good coach.
Oh my God, she was actually coach, like leader of the pack kind of thing. And my wife has 5 brothers and her. So not only did she have to grow up with the 5 males in the house and kind of fight her way through that, she had a mother she looked up to, and now she wants to become her mother.
Right.
And her mother is the home builder, the one that stabilizes a house and makes sure it's fine and it moves forward and bigger and better and safer. So she takes after that a lot. So to her, she did not like the failure that we have became. It has nothing to do with I love you, you love me, you're mean, I'm mean. We all have our flaws, and she's very Christian also. Right. We all have our flaws. Nobody here is perfect. So let's just go back and focus on what's important here. Mm-hmm. We have teenagers at home. My daughter at the time was going through 11, 12, 13 years, that age of, becoming a woman pretty much. And a father figure was needed at home kind of thing, and a mother figure was needed at home. And that was her main focus. She did not want to build our relationship back. She wanted to build our family back.
Wow. Man, you're sharing so much great information.
I know, the moment you started asking about Jordan, I'm like, this whole thing took a freaking turn real quick.
This is probably one of the better
what
ones
happened
we've
to
had.
GBT 4.0?
Oh.
Well, at least you could use that as an excuse if someone calls you out on something you said.
That wasn't me.
That wasn't me, bro. That wasn't me.
No, but I think a lot of the stuff you're sharing is information or things that a lot of men go through that they don't want to put that out there.
No, I have a friend going through it currently actually, and he's both our friends. I'm not going to mention his name, but God, I tell him, but I see myself in him now. Mm-hmm. When I went through my hardships and the way I lived, the way I spent, the way I made decisions was. See, what happens when you go through a midlife crisis, especially if you leave the wife and the kids and you go through that part of a midlife crisis because you feel like you've done your part and I've worked 25 years and I've never had a life and it's my turn. And, you go through that tornado, you don't realize that decisions you're making now are all the decisions you could not make on your own and you needed permission to do.
Yeah.
So you need permission anymore now.
Yeah.
You can go buy the convertible. I don't owe you a fucking explanation.
Yeah.
You know, you're not there anymore. I'm gonna have my cheeseburger at midnight. I'm gonna eat the double fries with, you know.
But then when you don't have that, you wish that person was there to tell you all that shit.
Yeah, but for a moment in time, like you said, when it's too late,
Yeah.
some people go a little bit far with it, and it goes on forever. Next thing you know, you look back, and she's moved on, and life moved on.
Kids have moved on.
Kids have moved on, and here you are, just enjoying this. I guess you think it's freedom because you could do whatever you want. You don't have to ask her anymore. And that sense of freedom, you go make all the decisions you wanted to make over 20 years in 6 months.
Yeah.
And then you're over it by then.
Then you're over
And then
it.
you're over it by then, and you're like, oops.
Yeah, I feel like you're talking
Spent all
about a couple of my friends.
Yeah, I
that-
spent all your money
Yeah.
partying. I did that. It's exactly same thing. It's exactly what I did. It's not like I'm judging them for being, you know, not true to themselves and to their family. No, it's exactly what I did.
Yeah, you're
It's
fortunate.
what you do.
You're fortunate that because I know his wife, and his wife is a just absolute saint. She's just a beautiful human being.
Well, yeah, she lives with me. She has to be.
That's true. That is true. But I think it's incredible. I think it speaks just volumes to Gada and her mentality in the deal, right? Because I think a lot of times the guys that are going through the midlife crisis, you know, when they leave, a lot of times their women aren't that strong to do something like that, right? Because a lot of it is what you were talking about. It's you did this and you did that, and then you turn around and you go, well, you did that and you did this. Next thing you know, you're arguing instead of going, hey, you done? I'm done. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
I love you. You still love me. We got kids at the house. We got a life to run together.
Yeah.
You know, this is 20-something years later. We're not trying to create a fairy tale anymore, right? We're not watching Disney movies going,
Exactly.
oh, this is what I want, love. We already know that doesn't exist like that.
Yeah.
And so I love that piece of the story. And that's actually a piece of the story I didn't even know until now. And I kind of knew bits and pieces, but as far as how that all transpired until now and hearing it all in its full context, I think it's probably one of the more powerful stories that I've heard, and probably one of the more powerful stories we've had on the podcast, because it does speak to what you were talking about, that midlife crisis that a lot of times guys don't want to admit they're in because of pride and ego and all the things we naturally carry as it is, right?
Yeah.
And it feels good.
It does.
Your dopamine is kicking at 100%, 110%.
But then when the crash
You're just
comes,
going, yeah.
when the crash comes,
When the drug runs off.
it's
The down.
you wake up and and your wife isn't sitting on the bed most of the time, right?
Uh-uh.
A lot of times you're just there in that dark room, hungover, and you want to get up and call your kids, and you can't. You know, you all of a sudden realize I'm still in love with my wife, but I can't tell her that because I've screwed this thing up so bad, right?
Your ego, like you said.
Yeah.
You don't want to admit it. You have an ego that just consumes you.
I think it's
definitely
incredible, man. I love that you shared all that and were very, very real about the experience of it. But I think he might have saved Mambo from going through it himself. He had that look.
He was almost there.
No, man. My wife would bury me if I ever said, like,
Do it.
Yeah, his wife wouldn't come sit
you
on the
guys
edge of
would
the
come in to
bed.
do the podcast. Where's Mambo?
He's in the back of the garage.
No, but I think a lot. One thing you said is in relationships when especially if my wife and I have been together since we were teenagers, and then we get to our 20s and we compare our relationship to people that we think are living the best relationship of their life, but then fast forward years later, they end up divorced, and we're like, what happened? Then you start hearing the
real story.
the real stuff.
stuff.
Not
Yeah.
the Facebook story.
Yeah, especially now, like you said,
Yeah,
like the social
Facebook.
social media,
Yeah.
everyone wants to put the nice stuff. They don't.
Here's what I
wanna-
learned on that. If they post all the time how great their relationship, that's the couple that's going to get divorced.
That's the one that sucks.
That's the one that sucks.
That's why I post about mine being terrible all the time.
because it's the
No,
best.
there are people that do it like a lot. Like
We're gonna edit that
compulsively.
one
Yeah.
out.
When you're compulsive, yeah. Can we edit shit out? Or
No.
this is going. That's it.
No, the only thing we're going to edit out is your thumb drill of you banging on the table.
This is it.
Mambo's got about 25 cuts. He's
Oh,
got
I'm leaving all that in. That's a lot of editing. I'm just gonna leave it in. No, but I think you're right. Like, you know, like I said, in my 20s, I used to try to look at couples that, you know, I thought were doing good, but, you know, fast forward and they're divorced, then you start hearing what really happened and how unhappy they had been for all these years, where you thought, wow, like that's the role model couple.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it
shatters you. I had friends when me and Gada split. This one particular couple, the wife was like more butthurt than Gada. Like, she would cry if she would see me talking to some chick at the bar. Because she thought we were like the perfect couple, and that life is actually achievable.
It's work.
No, there's no perfect relationship.
No. It's work.
They suck ass half the time. I mean, truthfully, and you just gotta make the best of it, crack a joke, and enjoy the other half.
Enjoy the good stuff.
Enjoy the good stuff.
I like how you keep bringing up the joke part, like, because
crack a joke.
Yeah,
and I think that's important for people to understand is that relationships, the ones that are worth, my wife and I, we work hard on our relationship, right? And there's a lot, and when I say work hard, I mean there's a lot of times one of us has to suck up the pride and kind of buy into the other person's opinion, because we're like two bulls in the ring, right? Wow. But we've also been married for 11 years, and that's not something that you can shake a stick at. To be married to someone for 10 plus years, in my opinion, is a strong thing, especially in today's time, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're staying committed to that one person for a long period of time, and there was phases in our marriage where we were like, all right, maybe we need to part ways. Maybe we need to go on a separate path. Maybe that will make us happier, per se, kind of like what Bash was talking about. But then you get through that phase, right? And you fix it, and you work it out, and you get to the other side of it, and you look back, and you're like, man, I'm glad we didn't pull that trigger. Mm-hmm. I'm glad we didn't go that route. Because it wouldn't have fixed anything, right? Sticking together and working through it is what fixed it. Yeah, separating and going our own separate ways and not communicating doesn't fix anything. Yeah. Right. So I hope that's on some level that we're able, because the three of us have all, been in these relationships for a good amount of time. You two significantly longer than I, but it's really, I think, important that people understand to stick together in a marriage is cool, right? It's a good thing. You don't, and divorce rate being at 60% in this country, it's the same in the church. It's 60%. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're religious or non-religious. The divorce rate is crazy. It's high. In this. That means only 35 to 40% of the people in the country are sticking together. So when you stick with your spouse, it makes you one of the rarities, right? Mm-hmm. It makes you the anomaly. If you don't, you're just doing what everybody else is doing. And that's because it's easy. That's the easy way. So that's just my 2 cents, and I love that you shared that. And
I think the problem with that is because men and women on both sides are guilty of not setting up the expectations before marriage. I mean, a small example would be you go out with a girl, and the first day you open the door, and you open the car door, and you pick up the check. And then the next day you still do that. And then before you know, you're engaged, and you're still opening the door. And fast forward 5 years later, you got the kids and the soccer and the craziness going on, and AYSO at 6 a.m, and you get into the car, and right there you're going to start breaking that habit, and you're not going to open the door anymore. Then fast forward 3 more years, that's ancient history. You'll never open that door for her again. And that's just a very small example of you shouldn't open the door to start with.
If that's not who you are.
You are going to open the door for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I still open my wife's door.
See, I used to.
She yells at me, though. She's like, I can open my own door.
That's a whole different conversation.
But when you stop.
Yeah, I dare you to stop.
Fine, girl, you open your own door then.
Yeah, see what happens. See what happens. But it's not about opening the door.
Open it right in her face.
The amount of sex you have prior to marriage and at the beginning of the marriage and 10 years after the marriage. Your patience with each other before the marriage, after the marriage, 10 years down the marriage. There has to be a certain expectation going in. I mean, this was told to me by my brother-in-law before I got married. He came to me, he saw how good I was treating his sister. Notes and mixtapes and flowers and gifts and so romantic.
All that off.
And he comes up to me and he goes, bro, because we're buddies since high school too, don't forget that. He goes, bro, you can't be doing that. You got to set the expectations from now. Because we both know you ain't gonna keep doing this shit 5 years from now.
And you were
like,
making them look bad too.
I'll freaking do it for life.
I'm a lifer, bro.
I'm a lifer, bro. I got this. Just because you don't treat your wife like this, don't mean I can't.
Right.
But goddamn, he was so right. He was right.
What was on those mixtapes?
Chris Isaak, Mariah Carey, you know.
I don't see nothing wrong
with a little.
Man, this was a good episode, man. I feel like we need to have a part 2, or we could add another member to the Adversity podcast. Yeah, this was a good one, man. I'm again, man. Thank you for opening up and sharing things that most men wouldn't share about midlife crisis. Yeah.
Good times.
It was really good, man. I really appreciate it. I loved it.
Yeah, man. But thank you guys so much for checking out the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll definitely have you back again.
Beautiful experience.
We'll be back on the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Peace.